we move on to the importance of palmitic acid in development and physiology. I think this is my favorite part of this paper.
Nice.
Um, this was because, yeah, generally I understand saturated fats are more chemically stable. They might be preferred. But, saturated fat is not just saturated fat. You have many kinds of saturated fats. You have short, medium, long chain saturated fatty acids, like butyric acid, MCTs.
Medium chain
Um,
triglycerides. Yeah.
yeah. Trying to see if I don't actually remember a name for one of those. But then you have your long chain saturated fatty acids, palmitic acid, stearic acid, lauric acid. Um, so the top three I can remember right now. Those might be the most common. But even then, there's probably like tens, if not hundreds, of different saturated fatty acids um, present in food. But it begs the question. Do different fatty acids have different effects in the human body? Right. So here he talks about palmitic acid, and I found this very interesting. So reading on, palmitic acid is the major saturated fat in the human diet and in the human body. There you go. Seems to me palmitic acid is good. Yeah. Check this out. The human baby is one of the fattest of all mammals at normal gestational birth. The adipose fat is 45 to 50% palmitic acid, and the baby continues to add fat during the early months of life under normal circumstances. A human baby will have about 2% PUFAs in adipose tissue at birth. Innes, who was the lady who looked into this research, raised concerns that infants fed formulas with lipids coming from vegetable oils accumulated less than or equal to 26% of linoleic acid in adipose tissue, mostly replacing palmitic acid, whereas linoleic acid increased to 6 to 8% in breastfed infants after 7 months. Mammary glands produce predominantly saturated fatty acids regardless of the mother's dietary fat intake. I think that's very fascinating. I think, just to highlight again, when babies are born, about 2% of their adipose tissue is PUFA. When they're fed formula, that can increase up to or less than, up to or
Yeah.
equal to 26%. Okay? So from 2% to 26% if they're fed
Wow.
formula. If they're exclusively breastfed, it will go from 2% to 6 to 8% in their adipose tissue.
Yeah.
Okay? So, that is from 8% to 26%. That is what, over 3 times the
Yeah.
linoleic acid if they're fed formula. Are we meant to accept that this is beneficial for baby's health, for their development, for our health?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
this, this is a result of, modern industrialized food. So do we really know the impact of this on children's health or their mental health, their hormonal health, their development? I don't know. Look at the state of the world today. Something's very clearly wrong.
Yeah. And this last sentence too, right? Mammary glands produce predominantly SFAs regardless of mother's dietary fat intake. So
Wow.
it's like you gotta give the baby SFAs. Gotta give the baby, no matter what, has to get SFAs. So it just again, this is just another piece of proof, another piece of evidence that we should look at that this is important. This is meaningful. This matters. Um, you know, a woman's organism is knows wisdom that we don't even comprehend, or it's doing what it has to feed its offspring. That's really powerful, really.
Yeah, it's the you know, people would call this like a naturalistic appeal to nature fallacy, but I mean, like the woman will make predominantly saturated fatty acid regardless of the fat they're eating. You know, so if you want to make the case that PUFA vegetable oils are healthier for human health, the burden of proof is on you to prove that, right?
Mhm.
Uh, it seems like saturated fats are like the human body's preferred fat. We make it endogenously, and women make it preferentially to feed it to newborns. Okay, I'm not sure what exactly other data point, evidence-based nerds might need to understand that, right?
But it's trying to kill you, man. It's trying to kill you. It's been killing you since the 60s.
And why do they say that? Because again, they will keep on coming back to say that saturated fats increase cholesterol, increase LDL cholesterol, and LDL cholesterol is an independent risk factor for heart disease, is what they'll say. So they need cholesterol to be bad in order for saturated fats to be bad in order to tell you that you should limit it to less than 10% of your calories. Okay? Once you do away with the fact that LDL is it's not a good risk factor for anything, all of that, falls flat on its face. That's why you'll see all these mental academic gymnastics, Mendelian randomization trials, which they don't like. Tell me if you're watching this. Tell me how Mendelian randomization trial takes into consideration other confounding factors. It doesn't. It's literally just like juggling the pieces around. And if you torture the data long enough, you can get it to reveal what you want, which is exactly what they've done to justify that. And besides, it's just like some mathematical gymnastic puzzle that people have done, and they call it randomized Mendelian trial, like randomized control trial, whatever. It's like, how's that for a randomized control trial? It's like, well, it's not. It's just mathematic gymnastics. Um,
Yeah.
but still, yeah, pay attention, because it's two different parts, right? Part one, saturated fats increase cholesterol, and part two, cholesterol is an independent risk factor for heart disease.
Yeah.
Both of the second one of which is demonstrably false. We covered it in the previous study club. We covered it many times. We covered it on Instagram many times. It's just
It's the heart of the matter.
it is, yeah, it is. It seems to me
Uh,
saturated fats and animal fats got us covered.
yes. It's for
So
us.
yeah, where were we? Okay, moving on.
Oh, moving on.
Yeah, the unique composition of triglycerides in mammalian milk, human as well as ruminant milk, compared with vegetable oils, provides clues regarding the importance of palmitic acid to infant development. When infants were fed formula consisting of vegetable triglycerides, the proportion of linoleic acid increased dramatically, up to 46% of fatty acids in adipose tissue by 10 months of age. Oh my
Wow.
God. Although increasing PUFA intake in infants can marginally lower serum cholesterol at 1 year of age, such manipulations in the PUFA content of infant formula and diets could have longer-term consequences that do not seem to have been followed in those cohorts. So, they're talking about reducing serum cholesterol for 1-year-olds. What
Wow.
kind of what kind of madness is that? Like, seriously?
So here's the
Uh,
mother's body. How babies have been fed they're basically since the beginning of human existence, right? Here's the mother's breast milk giving you saturated fatty acids for the baby, and here we are overriding that, thinking that the mother's body is trying to give heart disease to the baby. That come on, come
Come on,
on.
man. What a bunch of poppycock.
What a bunch of poppycock, man.
Yeah,
Oh.
complete poppycock. Yeah, check this out. This is even more alarming. So palmitic acid is a major fatty acid in brain phospholipids, constituting 45 to 55% in phosphatidylcholine fractions. Palmitic acid is used by cells to form sphingolipids, sphingolipids, with which cholesterol and palmitoylated proteins are important components of lipid rafts that facilitate endocytosis in caveolae, as well as numerous cell signaling pathways. So, a bunch of jargon over there, but what they're telling you is, we know choline is good for phosphatidylcholine, which has something to do with our brains. I can't remember the specifics right now. Brain phospholipids. Yeah, so phosphatidylcholine is a phospholipid, right? And the brain consists of 45 to 55% of phosphatidylcholine fractions. So palmitic acid is good for our brain. Like, I mean, it's not good. Like, our brain is made of this, right? When you start playing with that, you're playing with what constitutes your brain structural integrity, guys. Okay.
Wow.
Palmitic acid is used by cells to form sphingolipids. So again, we know. So butter is rich in palmitic acid. It's also the richest dietary source of butyric acid, which is said to be good for your gut health, digestive health, your colon, your colorectal cells, etc., etc.
Man, I'm gonna have some butter after this.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have a stick of butter.
Let's go for the
Um,
brain.
Yeah, and they're important components of lipid rafts that facilitate endocytosis in cavulae. So I think that's just like a type of cell on our tissues. But endocytosis is like the mechanism by which our cells uptake things into them. Okay, that's just all it means.